Red October has officially arrived, and the Phillies are buckled up for their playoff run. Now, while we're still awaiting official word for who the first-round opponent will be, at the time of this recording, the Mets and Brewers are split 1-1. But I want to talk specifically about this Phillies team and why they have a unique advantage this year compared to last season. So we're going to talk some bullpen today. With me, I got my guy, Luke Arcaini. And Luke, I want to throw you the opening take right off the bat here that I think this year's bullpen is a driving force in why I believe this Phillies team will be different and ultimately take down the World Series title. Your thoughts?
I just think something's different this year. I think this bye is big for them. I think some teams it doesn't really. I don't think it's great for some teams, but one, I think they needed to sort of get healthy, get right, and two, I think some of these guys just like needed a few days off their feet. I think having like today they had the inter squad game and stuff, just really kind of staying in the shape while not playing in the wild card round and letting these teams just duke it out. Now, obviously, the Mets and the Brewers heading to a game three. Personally, I would love like a 25 inning game tomorrow in game three. Just throw every single pitcher, every batter. I think it would be great. But yeah, no, I just think the Phillies are in a really good spot. I think they have a really good lineup. I think they have a really good rotation. And really what we've seen in the playoffs the last few years that has mattered the most is the bullpen.
Yeah.
I feel like incredibly positive about this bullpen, and I haven't even been close to that these last 2 years.
Yep, and if we're just looking off just last year, this image bringing fear to my heart right now is Craig Kimbrell is on the mound. That is no longer the case with
Get
this
it
team.
off the screen. Get it off the screen.
And no longer is it the case with Craig Kimbrell as he was designated for assignment
There
late
should
in
have
the
been a
season.
trigger warning before you did that.
For real there. But don't just take it from me, as you can hear from Rob Thomson himself, who called it the best team that he's had during his time in Philadelphia. Absolutely love
Right.
seeing that. And to dive into the bullpen specifically, some of these arms that we're talking about, I first want to start with Carlos Estevez with you, Luke. That I do think this is a guy who isn't my style of closer. I'll say that he plays with his food a little more than I would like. He will allow runners on base, but ultimately the guy has been really good since
Yeah.
coming to Philadelphia. So what are your thoughts on Estevez? Is he the certified closer for this run? And how much better of a position does he put this team in than Craig Kimbrell?
Yeah, listen, I mean, compared to Kimbrel, like miles ahead. I think Estevez has definitely had his sort of shaky moments.
Right.
But I mean, the dude's still got a 2.57 this year. Like the dude's still nasty. I think the walks are a little concerning. It feels like ever since he got, or not really walks, just sort of like just some like loopy base runners. It feels like it
Every
just feels
time.
like a lot of like soft contact, just like weird hits, like just like left over the plate. I'm not worried about him. I'm definitely way more confident in guys like Jeff Hoffman, Matt Strom. But I don't think necessarily he'll be locked in.
Okay.
Listen, if you get to a game four, say just for example, you get to a game four NLDS and it's the bottom of the ninth, and you have Estevez and Hoffman both available, and you're up 2-1, you're going to Jeff Hoffman. Like
Wow.
you have to go to your best guy because Jeff Hoffman is undoubtedly your best pitcher right now. Honestly, I don't think it's crazy to say he's the second best overall pitcher on this team. Starters and relievers. I mean, the dude's just a freaking animal. And I mean, it's very hard to compare relievers to starters because it's just two completely different things. But I mean, after Zack Wheeler, I mean, the dude might have some of the best stuff after that. He's just been awesome. So as far as the Estevez thing, I wouldn't say he's necessarily locked in to that ninth inning. I would say he'll probably get a bulk of the ninth innings because I think they'll really use Hoffman really in those high leverage situations. If you get into a tie game in the sixth inning and you have say 1-2-3 up for the Mets or the Brewers, like you want Hoffman out there. You don't want to throw a guy like maybe like Jose Ruiz out there against the top of the lineup in a tie game. And listen, I love Ruiz, but
Been good.
that's Jeff Hoffman's spot. I really think Hoffman's going to be the guy this year that really holds down like the top of the lineup. And that's what I think will be big for Estevez too, is because if he can consistently hold down the ninth, now you have guys like Hoffman, to really like ride against the like big guns of the lineup. Because I mean, hopefully once you get to those ninth innings, it's not necessarily the top of the lineup every time.
Right.
But if it's not, then I think he's in good shape.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've definitely seen in past years Rob Thomson play the matchups and play, the sides of the plate, left-handed
Yeah.
or right-handed up pretty significantly that he's leaned into that more so
And that's
than
going to be big too.
yeah.
Like if you get to an eventual Dodgers series and say it's the fifth inning of a tie game and say Aaron Nola comes out or Ranger Suarez comes out. If Shohei Ohtani's at the plate, Matt Strom's going to be out there in the fifth inning. That's a guy that you're going to see really against a team like the Dodgers. Obviously, the Phillies have to get there first, but guys against left-handed batters, right? If you see a Francisco Lindor at the plate, if you see any left-handed hitters for the Brewers up there in like the fifth, sixth, seventh inning, that's going to be Matt Strom's spot. So that's where I think is big, where the matchups will be back.
Yeah, and two more things as far as the bullpen that I did want to hit on with you, Luke. For starters, you did mention the inter squad scrimmage today. We did get this report saying that Ranger Suarez started on the mound for the Phils. Rob Thomson perched himself in the stands behind home plate to take things in, and they said that he felt a lot better about Suarez following the performance. It took Ranger just 21 pitches to complete 2 innings of work. That was all that Thomson needed to see from him before moving on to the bullpen. And it's now the other guy that's a factor here. Spencer Turnbull also took the mound in Wednesday's scrimmage. Turnbull has missed a significant amount of the season due to injury, but has been a guy kind of in the equation for expectations to this team. Not as positive results for Turnbull. Topper calling his performance erratic following the game there. I think that pretty much trends towards Turnbull not being a part of this playoff roster entirely. Kind of disappointing because, this is a guy that we had high hopes for, and I do think injuries derailed things more so than anything here. But would you agree with that? And what's kind of your vibe check on Ranger at this point in time?
Yeah, so as far as Turnbull, I think it's just kind of one of those unfortunate situations that I just don't think he's going to be out there.
Yeah.
Um, I give him a lot of credit for really trying to ramp it up and get back. And I mean, listen, if I think there's a good situation where he's left off of the NLDS roster and maybe he's down in Florida or something like that, really trying to get back. I mean, ideally, the Phillies should be able to get through this first rounder with no Turnbull. I don't necessarily think they need the arm out there, but it definitely stinks. It seems like it's trending towards him really not being out there.
Yeah.
And as far as Ranger, I still just continue to back the previous postseason stats. I just think once Ranger gets there, I think he's going to be locked back in. I don't think it's going to be 7 shutout, but I don't think you're going to see like end of the regular season Ranger in the playoffs. I just don't see it. He looked good today. I don't know how much you can really use out of an inter squad game, but
Sure.
I just have to really look at the past with him because every time he's gotten there, it just everything just gets better. And I think him being that very laid back, like lackadaisical pitcher, I think that's really big for him because the moment's just never been too big for him.
Yeah, absolutely there. And you see that crystal clear when he is on the mound with nothing
Yeah.
bothering that guy. Now, the final question that I have for you, Luke, taking another look at this bullpen, I want you to rank the top 5 arms that you have confidence in.
Oh,
So
I
from
like
Jeff
this.
Hoffman down to the list, whether it is Matt Strom, Jose Alvarado, if you want to throw him in there, we'll break it down. I want to hear your list, Luke. You can start at the top.
Okay, top of the list. If I was hanging off a cliff, I would trust Jeff Hoffman with my life.
As you should.
Every single ounce of my life, I would absolutely trust Jeff Hoffman. Number 2 is Matt Strom.
Okay.
Strom's been absolutely gross this year. He showed last year what he can do in the postseason. Number 3 would be Orion Kerkering,
Okay. Wow.
I think. I just really trust the stuff. I thought he's looked really good lately. I mean, even after some pretty bad outings this year, he has a 2.29 on the year.
He can pitch way better this year.
He's got a 2.29 in 64 appearances. The kid's just freaking gross.
Yeah.
Number 4 would be Carlos Estevez. I'll say 4A, 4B. I would say Estevez and Alvarado.
Okay.
I have more trust in Jose than a lot of people do. I think still when he gets into big moments, I still think he's a really valuable arm. I would probably say 4A would be Estevez, 4B would be Alvarado, and then number 5 or 6 would be Jose Ruiz.
Okay.
I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to trust Jose Ruiz a little more than I should, I think.
Yeah, no, we ended up with the same list there. That I was curious if it was going to shake out that way. I will throw a little love Tanner Banks' direction. That I think I'm a
Yeah,
bigger Tanner
yeah.
Banks guy than I think a lot of
He's
people.
going to throw some innings in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
yeah, I think so, and I think he's going to be just fine for it. So not a high leverage guy by any means, but a guy worthy of being on the playoff roster and serving some innings there. And I do hope Jose fully finds his stuff because as much as we talk about each of these guys, when Jose's locked in and on, I think his stuff is better than any
It's
of them.
big, man. It's big. It's huge having another lefty.
Yeah.
It's like if you have right Hoffman, Kerkering, and then Estevez for your righties, and then you have lefties now of Strom, and then Jose, and he's back to like 2022, like early playoffs, Jose, like that. I mean, that would be freaking massive, man. Like that's 5 elite arms out of your bullpen.
Yep, absolutely. So shout out to Rob Thomson and Dave Dombrowski for constructing this bullpen in a way that it has not been in past years. Shout out to you guys for tuning in this video here. We are over the 1,000 subscriber mark right here on Phillies Digest, and so got plenty of work to do as we're in for the meat of the playoff run. So make sure you guys subscribe if you have not already. We want each and every one of you along for the ride. Drop your comments below. Make sure you're dropping a like on this video and anything else that you got in your mind. And me and Luke are going to be breaking things down from every single angle once we have an idea of who exactly this opponent is for the Phillies. But appreciate each and every one of you guys and talk to you next time. Peace.